Spring 1942, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Two engineers stood 8 miles apart, holding what would become one of the most revolutionary battlefield devices of World War II. Daniel Noble, director of research at Galvin Manufacturing Corporation, pressed the transmit button on his prototype radio and spoke into the handset. His voice traveled through the air crystal clear, reaching his colleague Henry Magnuski 8 miles away without a trace of static. The Army had asked for a 3-mile range. Noble's team had more than doubled it. What made this moment extraordinary was not just the distance, but the technology behind it. Frequency modulation, or FM. The Army had insisted on amplitude modulation, AM, for all portable radios. But Noble had boldly argued that FM was the future, capable of resisting noise and interference that plagued AM systems. His gamble would pay off spectacularly. The SCR-300 walkie-talkie his team had built would give American troops a clear communications advantage, with reliable range up to 5 miles, an innovation so significant that one general later called it the single most useful piece of communications equipment in the European theater. Daniel Earl Noble's journey to that triumph began in September 1940, when he joined Galvin Manufacturing in Chicago as director of research. Born in Connecticut in 1901, Noble had already designed America's first statewide two-way FM system for the Connecticut State Police. He knew FM's superiority firsthand, its clarity, reliability, and immunity to interference. When he arrived at Galvin, the world was at war. France had fallen, Britain stood alone, and the U.S. military was scrambling to modernize. Among its many weaknesses, battlefield communication was one of the worst. The Army's early portable radios, the SCR-194 and SCR-195, were unreliable, noisy, and often useless in combat. They relied on AM technology, which made them vulnerable to interference from engines, lightning, and machinery. Many officers preferred runners to radios. At least a man with a message could be trusted to get through. Galvin had already achieved a measure of success with the SCR-536 handy-talkie, a 1-mile range AM radio compact enough for a soldier to operate with one hand. Even President Roosevelt's Secret Service used it. But while groundbreaking, it couldn't meet the needs of modern mobile warfare. Noble knew something had to change. When he learned the Signal Corps was planning another AM-based portable radio, he pushed back. In meetings with Major James O'Connell and Colonel Roger Colton, Noble argued passionately that AM was the wrong choice. FM, though more complex and expensive, offered better performance in real battlefield conditions. His conviction persuaded the Army to take an unprecedented gamble, authorizing development of an FM portable transceiver. Designated the SCR-300, Noble assembled a team of exceptional engineers: Henry Magnuski, a brilliant Polish immigrant, Marion Bond, Lloyd Morris, and Bill Vogel. Together they faced a daunting challenge. The SCR-300 had to be battery-powered, water-resistant, simple to use, and light enough, no more than 35 pounds, for a soldier to carry on his back. It had to provide clear communication across at least 3 miles in forests, hills, and battlefields. It had to function on limited crystals, covering a broad range of frequencies from 40 to 48 MHz. These requirements were nearly impossible to meet all at once, but Noble's team, leveraging FM's strengths, found solutions. They created an elegant single tuning control that adjusted both transmitter and receiver simultaneously, and designed automatic frequency control circuits to keep the signal stable. Soldiers wouldn't need to fine-tune anything under fire. The radio would stay locked on frequency automatically. By early 1942, after months of relentless development, the engineers had 2 working prototypes. During testing at Fort Knox, they achieved flawless communication over 8 miles, more than double what the Army had demanded. When Signal Corps officials witnessed the results, they immediately approved production development. The production model, designated BC-1000, became the heart of the SCR-300 system. Fully equipped, it weighed about 38 pounds with its larger battery, slightly heavier than specified, but the Army accepted the trade-off for its performance. Final tests at Fort Knox pushed the radios to their limits. Rough handling, exposure to rain, noise from tank engines, and the SCR-300 passed every trial. The skeptical Infantry Board, famous for rejecting equipment that failed to meet real-world standards, gave the radio a rare, enthusiastic endorsement. The Signal Corps quickly placed production orders. Galvin Manufacturing, soon to be renamed Motorola, produced nearly 50,000 units during the war. The SCR-300's first combat tests came in August 1943 on New Georgia, in the Solomon Islands. Colonel Ankenbrandt, the Pacific Theater's signal officer, had initially opposed the radio, doubting that VHF signals could work in dense jungle terrain. But once the radios arrived, his skepticism evaporated. Reports from Bougainville and New Georgia described clear, reliable communications where earlier sets had failed. By early 1944, Ankenbrandt was calling the SCR-300 exactly what is needed for frontline communications in this theater. The only real challenge was keeping the batteries supplied, a logistical issue, not a technical one. Lieutenant Joseph Dooley of the 298th Infantry Regiment called it an infantryman's dream, praising how it gave frontline units better control and coordination than ever before. Even in the tropical humidity of the Pacific, where AM sets corroded and failed within days, the SCR-300's tropicalized components kept working for weeks or months. Its success was not just in performance, but in durability. Proof of superior engineering. By war's end, the SCR-300 had transformed how armies communicated. It bridged the gap between company and battalion, allowed artillery observers to call in fire instantly, and enabled real-time coordination between tanks and infantry. More than a technical triumph, it was a decisive advantage. Born from one man's vision, his refusal to compromise, and his belief that better communication could save lives. Daniel Noble's insistence on FM technology didn't just build a better radio. It helped win a world war and laid the foundation for modern wireless communication, as we know it today.